Testing. Can everyone hear me clearly? Hey Nick. Nice to see you. Good evening to you. Trying to increase the bit rate so that the quality that you guys get will be slightly better. Royan, nice to see you too. Good, I guess it's morning where you are. Yeah, it's about 5 a.m. here. Hey David, happy Easter. Is it? Yeah, it's Easter. Oh, I almost forgot for a while. Yeah, it's Easter. All right. Is it a public holiday? There in whichever country you guys are in. I think some people call it's Easter Monday, right? Is it for you guys? Hey Norbert, nice to see you tune in again. I just checking. Is the stream that you guys are watching, is it smooth? Do you get the occasional lag? Because I'm trying to see if it works clearly. I see. Okay, cool. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Even though for some of you guys it's a holiday, for some of you guys it'll be a holiday tomorrow. But thanks for tuning in. Right. Yeah. It should be a holiday for quite a number of countries. Right. I know some Asian countries are not. Right. So the major movements that we should be seeing is across the USD and yen. Right. But all right, it's good stuff, man. I'm just gonna do a quick refresh on sure it works well. Okay, all right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Nice and early, and nice and early for our pre-market live analysis every week. Same time, same place, right? The stream rate is lower than the recommended bit rate. Just let me check one more time. What's my stream rate? Stream rate is pretty high. Okay, I'm going to change to my 5G network, so it might get cut off for a quick second here. All right, you guys should be able to hear me nice and clear still. All right, hey, Darren, nice to see you. Yeah, coffee still working is very true. Let me know if you guys still receive that buffer every now and then. I just swapped it to the 5G network. Forgot to set up the 5G network earlier. Right, but yeah, it should be a lot smoother now. Right. But yeah. Once again, thanks guys for tuning into this session. Right. Same time, same place. You know, every week we have our pre-market live analysis. We were right. We were on the very right side of our calls last week, right? We were forecasting weakness in the DXY, right? I'm going to show you a quick recap on that. Right, worked out very nicely, so that that helped us be on the better side, be on the correct side on a lot of the movements, right? So a lot of what I do today, not only is it looking at the key fundamental news events, not only is it doing the normal technical analysis, but it's also putting things into correlation, right? I always emphasize on correlation because that is, to a certain degree, is what I see as the secret ingredient of knowing whether an analysis you have, A lot of the times we wonder, is it going to be a false breakout? Is it going to be a real breakout, right? A lot of the time that boils down to how well the correlations are lining up, right? Are all of them singing from the same hymn book, right? I use it not as okay, maybe it's pun intended, right? I know there's a lot of hymns that are sung during like Easter Sunday, but yeah, are they all in sync, right? Especially when you're saying, if you're expecting breakout euro, if you're expecting euro dollar to rise a bit, then you should be expecting dollar franc to drop a bit, pound dollar, right? I'll be doing a quick recap on that in a bit. All right, guys. All right. Nice to see you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Hi, Osama. Nice to see you tune in too. All right. So today's session, right? Let's begin. Disclaimer as usual. Remember, guys, everything in this webinar is educational in nature. Nothing should be construed as investment or trading advice. Please do your own little due diligence before you guys trade. Okay. And of course, our agenda for today, we always cover the key news events, right? Sometimes when I'm talking about key news events, sometimes there's a forecast on them, right? But sometimes it's just volatile news events to watch out for, right? What I mean by that is, for example, we know that there's a big, for example, interest rate event that might be coming up. We know it's going to cause volatility, but it's what I call a known unknown. We know it's coming, but the outcome of it, whether it's going to be bullish or bearish, right? Whether it's going to meet the forecast or exceed or underperform the forecast is unknown to us. Even if we have do our own econometrics, right? We might not be able to forecast it accurately. So it's a volatile news event, right? It's a key news event, right? But we just don't know whether it's market is going up or down. So there are key news events to watch out for. They affect the market a lot more, depending on the time frame that you trade, right? So if you happen to be trading on time frames that are 1 hour and less, a lot of the news they see on the economic calendar actually the volatility that you experience there affects you a lot more, right? Something like the non-farm payroll, right? If you look at it, what happened on Friday, right? The movements that you see on the 1 hour chart, on the 15-minute chart is a lot more pronounced. It's a lot more obvious than the movements that you see on the 4 hour chart, right? And that's because of the sensitivity of the sensitivity of the chart, right? Along with that, right? If you happen to be trading on the 1 hour chart, yes, then these news events are things that especially the volatile ones, are things that you have to watch out for. Okay, we're going to do analysis on the majors, and then we have a little bit of time to do custom requests later, right? So if you have requests, send them through nice and early, and I'll do my best to look at them in a bit. All right. And of course, for those of you guys who are here for the first time, introducing your host for today. My name is Desmond Leong. I'm an analyst here at IC Markets, right? So I run the award-winning research firm Everest Fortune Group and also the Forex Army. Finalists for 2019, 2020, and 2021 for best FX research and best equity research. We work with many of the major financial institutions on helping them forecast where the markets are heading, right? But we have a special partnership with IC Markets where we're bringing them the good stuff, the juicy stuff, the stuff that will take your trading to the next level. Okay, Yamilo, I can see him sending in the request already for euro dollar and pound dollar H4 chart. So we'll dive in a little bit into that in a bit. Anyone else have any requests? Just let me take a quick sip of water. I'm just checking. You guys are able to hear me, right? I'm asking because it seems that my my mute button got jammed, right? So I'm just a little bit worried, yeah. On the list of things that the list of nightmare scenarios that can happen, right? For anyone who's presenting, right? This your mute button getting jammed and you're not sure if if it's jammed entirely or not. Okay, I've seen the request come through. Let's rock and roll. Right, guys, let's rock and roll. Now, let's first, of course, okay, this is last week's analysis, right? I do want to touch really quickly on the key news events to kind of watch out for this week. You notice Monday we're gonna expect it to be pretty chill. All right, there's not going to be a lot of volatility across the currencies, except maybe for yen and USD. Right, it's not a bank holiday in Japan, so could see a little bit of movements there. So it's not gonna, what's the word for it? Yeah, it's you're not gonna expect too much movement. IMF meetings are technically pretty important, but the impact will more or less be felt throughout the day, right? Because there's officials usually talk to with reporters throughout the day, right? It's a formal statement covering policy shifts and meeting objectives, right? So it's important but not that important, right? So you notice Monday and Tuesday, if you're looking at key like news events that really what's the word for it, high impact news events, there isn't a lot. Tuesday we expect it to be a pretty slow day, so you can see Monday is a pretty slow day, Tuesday a pretty slow day. Among all the events over here, right, the key news events, right, I think the only one that is worth really taking a look at is this one over here, right? China's PPI, right? It's currently at negative 2.5%. You know, I mean the forecast is negative 2.5%. Previous data was negative 1.4%. You know, this is basically a measure on the rate of decline of China's, you know, producer prices, right? In increasing, right? So this has direct impact on China's demand for imports from Australia, you know, as a country is a major trading partner of China. So you can see this is one thing that we definitely want to look out for, the PPI, right? Among the list of news events for the day. Honestly, I expect Tuesday to be a pretty slow day. Honestly, Tuesday will be a pretty slow day. Wednesday, the key ones that you want to watch, you know, got the heavy hitters from USD, CAD, and pound coming in. USD, definitely, same thing I always tell you guys about, right? The CPI, right? Month on month, year on year, and cost CPI. These are the ones that we definitely want to look at. Okay, it basically just measures whether the inflation rate is increasing or decreasing, right? So we want to keep a lookout for this. All right. We have the usual suspects, you know, BOE, government Bailey speaks, right? The things that we want to definitely look out for are the audience questions, right? How he responds to them. More hawkish is good for the pound, you know, and, you know, more dovish is bad for the pound. So you definitely want to keep a lookout for this, right? And of course, the CAD, the overnight rate. This is the one we want to look out for. You know, people kind of expect it to remain at 4.5%, right? I don't think, you know, so technically, unless there's a surprise here, we shouldn't be seeing a lot of movement. All right. The press conference is the one that we probably want to, in some sense, I believe that the press conference would move CAD a lot more than this actual news event over here, because, you know, it actually allows them to provide further context, you know, and clarifications on their decisions and outlook. So what we want to look out for is whether there's a hawkish stance or dovish stance. Right, hawkish stance will lead to an increase in CAD. All right, so we want to keep a lookout for on these key news events. For Wednesday, like I mentioned, right, the overnight rate, everyone's kind of expecting it to be 4.5%, right? But keep a lookout for the press conference, right? And it happens an hour later, right? And usually gives us a lot more context, you know, on what the BOC is thinking about. Okay. Thursday, a lot of Thursday early morning for those in Asia, right? FOMC meeting minutes, right? So we should be seeing a lot of USD movement, right? So keep a lookout on that. right? It's basically you want to see if the meeting is what is the general view. Is it more hawkish? Is it more dovish, right? And yeah, it's just definitely one of the things that you want to look out for. Core PPI, I listed it down over here, so just let me find it. All right. Core PPI unemployment claims. These ones over here. These are the ones that we definitely want to look out for. You could say that AUD probably have we should be seeing quite a bit of movement for the unemployment rate, employment changes at 9:30 a.m. This is for GMT plus 8. Keep a lookout for that, right? But of course, the big news events would be down over here. Will be down over here for you to take a look at. All right, and that to me, right, would probably cover the major news events for the week, right? USD, I wouldn't really focus so much. There are stuff to look at for on Friday, but most of the movement will have probably happened on on Wednesday and Thursday already. But we should keep a look on these few, right? I don't want to waste so much time on these particular news events, right? As a lot of them, is pretty reactionary in nature. We kind of need to wait for once the news is released, what we can expect from it, right? There isn't really a stance as you go into it. All right. You want to read a little bit more? I tend to use Forex Factory. Click this little thing over here. It can actually allow you to read a lot more into what each news event looks out for. I do want to show you one thing though, guys, right? Right, the non-farm payroll on Friday, right, coming in 236K, right, instead of the projected 228K, right? And I do want to show you how that actually affects the market, right? This is the thing I want to show you. Yes, all right. So, for example, even if you look at something like euro dollar, right? Now we forecasted the bounce on euro dollar pretty nicely. It seemed to have worked out pretty nicely. This was back on 27th. I will do maybe a quick recap on that in a bit, right? The bounce was pretty nice, but I do want to show you, right, the non-farm payroll news announcement on Friday. If you were on the 15-minute chart, right, you see this was when the non-farm payroll was announced, right? You can see the big movement over there, right? A lot, this candle over here, this was a huge movement, all right? Can I see if I can put the news events on the charts? I think I can. Just give me a second. There's a way to put the news events on the chart. So you can see, right, if you use TradingView, we had the non-farm payroll news announcement over here, right? You notice that if we were on like the 5-minute chart, right, this movement over here, this is huge, right? Look at this. Look at this entire chart, right? USD news announcement, the actual forecast previous, right, unemployment rate. You can see the USD strengthened a lot, right? Euro dollar spiked down. This is on the 5-minute chart. What I mean by what do I mean by volatile news events affect the smaller time frames a lot more? Situations like this, right? This candle obviously is way bigger than your previous candles. If you go into the 15-minute chart, you will still notice that yes, this is a pretty big candle, as you can see over here, right? If you go into the 1-hour chart, it is starting to look a lot less. What's the word for it? A lot less big. You can see this news announcement. Sure, it's a pretty big candle by its usual standards, right? But it's still acceptable in terms of candle sizes. If you go into the 4-hour chart, this was when the non-farm payroll news announcement was, and you notice that it's just like another candle in the charts, right? You will notice that there's a lot less instances of major what's the word for it? Oversized candles. Like you see, like if you look at the charts over here, yeah, sure, you got a big candle that is dropping over here, right? This was retail sales PPI on a month, right? You can see you have a lot less instances of prices doing these major spikes on the larger time frames. Okay, right? So I think even if you scroll back to last month, you need to scroll pretty far back, right? You need to scroll pretty far back, right? In March of last month. Was it here? Yeah, see the non-farm payrolls over here, right? You're on the 30-minute chart, non-farm payroll, news announcement. Look at the movement that you see over here, right? You will see a lot more of this. You will see a lot more of these movements on the smaller time frame, a lot less on the bigger time frame. Okay, so that's what I mean by, usually on the time frame you trade, right? It affects how much your the market, how much of your strategy is affected by the volatility of a news announcement. Okay, so personally for us, these news events are things to definitely kind of keep a watch out for, right? We know that it's coming, right? But whether it greatly affects the view a lot, right, is a lot less. Okay, now as usual, right, we will start the day by looking at DXY. Right, I'm just gonna edit a setting and remove the economic news events. All right, I do want to show you guys. If you remember our pre-market analysis last week, we were looking at, if I'm not wrong, sorry, the first thing was Bitcoin. DXY, right? We are forecasting for DXY to drop further, right? I can see, I was highlighting the concept of magnetic levels. Remember, guys? I was highlighting the concept of magnetic levels that price would likely drop a little bit more for where is it? Did I draw it over here? No. Yeah, I was highlighting that for DXY, price would be dropping a little bit more towards the 101.24 level. Since then, what has happened, right? Pretty nice. Price has dropped all the way, right above the 101.24 level. This is what I mean by magnetic levels. If you remember very clearly, I was explaining the concept that once you have a very, very big key level over there, we should be expecting price to be attracted to it, just like the concept of Metnex. All right, it has worked out very nicely, right? So we're on the right side of that move for the week. This week, what I expect, right, there is gonna be, if you ask me, pretty limited downside movement, right? Last week there was a much more space for us to drop down to the 101.24 level. This week, kind of expect it to kind of just hover around here. So there's weakness that we can expect on USD, but not a lot of weakness. If anything, right, we should be looking at a potential bounce on USD, on DXY. But how do we know whether we should be expecting a little bit at this point? Do we expect strength or a bounce on USD or drop? A bounce on DXY or a drop on DXY? How we can filter it is actually by using the other instruments, right? In this case, euro dollar, right, guys? If you remember, euro dollar, right? I will jump into H4 later. Not only the D1 chart, but also H4. But euro dollar, right? I can show you guys what we are calling last week for euro dollar. Right, we are expecting further upside. Yeah, I think I was showing that euro dollar, very nice support of the 1.07. Let me go cinema mode. No, it doesn't make it much bigger. Yeah, euro dollar, we're expecting a bullishness above 1.0782. Right, price was pretty close. Price was pretty close to a level, so we're expecting price to kind of continue to bounce up. Yeah, previous history of the DXY. Yeah, I guess it doesn't. I gotta check that out. I gotta check that out on the MT4 chart. Right. So remember, price was just about over here last week, 3rd of April. right? So I'm going to just draw a quick line. Right, this was exactly where price was last week. We caught the bounce pretty nicely. Continue to bounce up, and we can expect euro dollar at least, right, for price to bounce a little bit more, right, towards this level over here. Okay, we can expect price to bounce just a little bit more towards 1.1023. That means on DXY we should be expecting a little bit of weakness for it to push down, because euro dollar and DXY moves in opposite direction. There is one thing I do want to show. If you ask me, right, before I look at the H4 charts on euro dollar, what is the one what's the word for it? There's one instrument which I find is a little bit leading. It's a pretty good leading indicator, which I like, which is dollar franc. Right, dollar franc. We've been able to call the levels very nicely on dollar franc. And what I want to highlight over here, right? I'm going to show it to you over here. This level over here on dollar franc. This level has finally been broken. Right, this level has finally been broken. Previously, you can see price bouncing and bouncing, right, bouncing and bouncing, right. So it kind of bounced so many times, right, and finally this level is broken, as you can see over here. So this is what I mean by prices. We should now be seeing a little bit of a breakout, right, a little bit of a breakout, and I will explain how this falls into place for the rest of the view for the week. Right, we should be able to see price drop all the way down to first support, but the most immediate, I would call it intermediate support. This is the intermediate support that we need to watch out for. Right, this is the intermediate support, right? Not that strong, but you can see price has already bounced from it. I did highlight this level last week, I think, right? But in this case, right, price should be could be dropping down to this level over here, right, making a little bit of a push down towards first support. Now, how does this affect the rest of the markets, right? In this case, because if dollar franc is going down, what's going to happen to euro dollar, guys? What's going to happen to euro dollar? Euro dollar naturally should be going up, right? So dollar franc is giving us the confidence that, okay, this is the clearest move among all the setups, right? This, it finally manage to break from this level and trigger the move, pull back to here, and it's triggering the move down, right? If it's triggering the move down, as you can see over here, that means that what's gonna happen in euro dollar, right, is that it's going to have that nice little push up to this level minimally, right? We should be seeing a price attracted to this level. And what it means for DXY, right, because DXY and dollar franc tend to move pretty much in tandem too, is that we should be able to see it at least come down to test these levels over here. So you can see how when you're looking at DXY, euro dollar, dollar franc, you try to line things up, right? Some of them might give you an early indication whether we should be expecting bullishness or bearishness on DXY. And of course, what you notice that when I'm analyzing charts, I put these 5 together: DXY, euro dollar, pound dollar, dollar franc, and dollar yen. All right, because I then look at pound dollar, and let me show you over here. Right, pound dollar. This is the one that we're looking for. Is it going to successfully make that breakout or not? Right, what were we calling last week? We were highlighting that this was the first resistance to watch out for. It was the 3rd of April. It was over here. We were saying that if price were to close above, we could be seeing, a nice little breakout. You would tweak the levels to capture the closes. It looks like it's just about testing that level. Is there any divergence to watch out for? Not that much divergence, right? So there's a decent chance that we should be, right, for everyone who is wondering pound dollar, right, what's going to happen to pound dollar? Is it going to take off, or is it going to, is this a false breakout? A lot of that is driven by this case like what's going to happen for DXY, right? Because if DXY is going to weaken, euro dollar is going to rise, pound dollar is likely going to see that little bit of a rise, and dollar franc is going to see that bearishness that pushes it down to the first support, right? So this is how we're trying to line up the correlation to see what is the market trying to tell us, right? Is there any hidden message that we should be looking at, right? I'm going to delete all that so it's slightly cleaner. So we can see that the view for the week, my view for the week, especially on DXY, is that we should be seeing a little bit of a weakness, right? We should be seeing weakness on DXY, okay? And this is how you do an analysis to what I call a proper analysis. You know, you don't just look at instruments as standalone instruments, right? You need to see of how they move in tandem together, right? How they move in tandem together, right? So euro dollar, you know, we're expecting it to strengthen, right? Now, as promised, right, I'll go into the H4 charts. So what I like to do is I like to, this is a little tip that I can show you guys. I will select like the first resistance, I will copy and I will paste it, right? Because when I Ctrl C and I Ctrl V, copy and paste it, it appears on the H4 time frame. And I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it over here. So I roughly know what are my first support and first level. Oh shucks. What did I move? I moved something, right? What are the first support and first resistance levels on the H4 chart, right? So at a glance, I know, okay, this is the this is the first resistance, this is the first support of my higher time frame, right? Why this is important is that, you know, it allows you, what's the word for it? To know what are the big levels to play out for, right? If you were zoomed in too much, right? If you zoomed in too much, right, you might be thinking, oh, you know, price looks like it's, you know, I'm just gonna use my brush over here. Price looks like, you know, it's going up, you know, it's going up, you know, it's going up. It could continue to go up, right? But if you don't zoom out enough, right, if you don't zoom out enough, you realize that, oh, this was the big resistance level on the daily time frame, right? So you can see over here why it's important to use to reference the higher time frame whenever you're on the lower time frame, right? So it doesn't, you know, you don't get blindsided by the, you know, sometimes what the good thing lower time frames can give you is it gives you a shorter term view, right? A more time sensitive view, right? But of course what happens is that, you know, you zoom in and you focus on just this area of the chart, right? If you don't reference the higher time frames, you might get caught up by looking to play a move beyond a major resistance or support level that's on the higher time frame. Okay, guys? Now, so what do we expect on the H4 chart? Okay, I established these key levels over here. Nice bit of support over there. Hi. Put a bit of an intermediate resistance over here. Intermediate resistance here, sorry. Why I say that's an intermediate resistance, you know, we see a reaction, see a reaction, see a bounce, see a reaction. Okay, so what I expect is likely to happen is price likely to be pushed against this, right? It's being held up quite nicely by the ascending trend line. Let me just take a look at our favorite Ichimoku cloud, right? Yeah, it's being held up by the trend line, is being held up by the Ichimoku cloud, right? So if it breaks this level, we should be able to see prices go up quite nicely, right? So these would be the upside downside confirmations that I'm looking at. Let me just throw up my Ichimoku cloud again, sorry. Yeah, so these are the key things. These are the key. I swear the cloud was right there. Yeah, these are the key ones to look out for. This resistance level on the shorter term time frame, 1.0932. this is the one that we want to take a look out for. You know, if price manages to break above this level, right, being held up by the ascending support, being held up by the Ichimoku cloud, we should be able to see quite a nice little breakout on the upside towards the first resistance. Okay, so this is the move I'm looking at on the shorter term time frame. Okay, sure, I will look at dollar CAD if there's time, Peter, right? Joey, nice to see you. Good morning. Pound dollar, right? Pound dollar worked out quite nicely, right? So pound dollar, we are expecting a little bit of bullishness on pound dollar too. Same thing. I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna remove my drawings, right? I'm going to select my first resistance up here. Copy, paste it down here. Select my first support, and I paste it down here. So, as you can see, the first support on pound dollar that I'm looking at, quite tricky. Not too sure if price can hold above it, right? Okay, we'll look at NASDAQ in a bit, right? I did post an update on NASDAQ. This is the overlap level for us to look at for pound dollar. Really nice. I like the trend that we're seeing. Okay. Okay. Just give me a moment while I just find another support level. On the H4 chart, this would be my second support level to watch out for. I like this chart. I mean, I really like this. I really like this movement, right? So ideally, right, remember our longer term time frame on the D1 chart, we expect it to go all the way. We expect it to go all the way up. Oh, sorry. No, there's the first time an inverted arrow occurred. And we expect it to go all the way up towards here, right? But on the shorter term time frame, you know, slightly that price might just come up to here, the first resistance, right? Intermediate resistance over here. If it breaks this level, then we can see a further rise up over here. But on the shorter term time frame, at least for the next few days, right, what we should be looking for, pound dollar looks like it's at a pretty good level, you know, for price to make a bounce from. So that is what I'll be looking at, you know, probably a nice little bounce up towards here on the shorter term time frame. Okay, yeah, so Milu, I hope that that answers your question on euro dollar and pound dollar on the shorter term time frame. Okay, Bitcoin still remains at a key resistance level over here. We've been highlighting this level for a while, right, and it continues to hold at this first resistance level for a while. So what I like about that, you can see a lot of price rejections over there, a lot of price rejections, right? And when we're analyzing the market, there are always three directions. You know, there's bullish, there's bearish, and there's neutral. A lot of the time people think it's just bullish or bearish, right? But we have to give credit, right, when we are able to call a move like this where it is neutral, right? Knowing when to sit on the sides, sit on the sidelines is as important as knowing when to buy or when to sell. In this case, right, we are neutral on Bitcoin. We've been neutral on Bitcoin for the past 2 weeks because of this resistance level, right? It's a major 23% retracement from the top to the bottom, major 38% retracement from here to here, and it's a major rather overlap resistance over here. So this is not just any level, it's a big level. Breaking this would suggest a move up, you know, acceleration towards the 32,000, 33,000 level, which is big news for Bitcoin, right? So if price is really able to close above here, you notice that price has repeatedly failed to close above strongly. If it is able to close above, we should be able to see a nice little rise up towards the 32, 33,000 level. Okay, guys, right? So this is one of the key ones that we want to be looking at for Bitcoin. Okay, now so Bitcoin remains the same, but one thing to take note of, Ethereum, right? Ethereum has closed above a key support level over here. So in some sense, right, Ethereum is a little bit of the leading crypto in this case, where I expect we expect the price to make a pullback and then go up. Do you remember? I believe I might have highlighted that level down here. Did I cover? I didn't cover Ethereum, right? Oh yeah, sorry. Where is it in Bitcoin, Ethereum? Yeah, saying if it managed to close above, right? I can't really find it. Oh, sorry, this is Bitcoin, right? First resistance over here, 2342, right? You notice that it has been holding at that level very nicely. The one that I probably want to be looking out for is Ethereum over here, right? We could be seeing, you know, a rally, right? And over here, from here onwards, you know, we could be seeing a rally towards the 2000 level. Okay, very nice breakout. I really like the breakout that I'm seeing over here. Could expect a nice little bit of a push up, right? A nice little bit of a push up towards the most recent high of 2027, right? So definitely a big call to look out for. I've covered quite a few of these. Dollar yen, you asked me, not much movement. We highlighted this first support last week. Price continues to be on this support. If you're expecting weakness on DXY, wait for this level to be broken to trigger a move down. Don't just sell now, right? Wait for this level to be broken, right, to trigger the move down to second support, right? Aussie dollar looks like, it looks terrible. Aussie dollar. I don't have much of a view on Aussie dollar. First support is over here. First resistance would be over here. The movements on Aussie dollar is not as clear as our movements on euro dollar and pound dollar, so I would be staying clear of it now, right? It's not working that well. Kiwi dollar, I'll probably keep a lookout for. Nice little bit of descending resistance that has been holding prices down, right? Little bit of a first resistance over here, second resistance, right? Support, first support is down here, but if you ask me, not that much that you can trade on Kiwi dollar, sadly, right? Not that much that you can trade on Kiwi dollar. Okay, it's a little bit tough to find a move on Kiwi dollar. Dollar CAD, I remember someone requested dollar CAD, right? No, not really. Yeah, dollar CAD is one that we want to look out for. Remember, I highlighted this ascending trend line for dollar CAD. Okay, very important trend line, because if you come down to here, right, and we're looking at the dollar CAD move. Okay, I'll take a look at oil in a bit. Where's my dollar CAD? We have dollar yen, Aussie dollar, WTI, dollar CAD. This was a key ascending trend line that I was highlighting for dollar CAD, right? So even, you know, it needs to break the trend line, and see, the key thing over here was that the first support is not the only level that needs to be broken. It is the first support and the trend line. Okay, so that is why it's important to have a double confirmation in this case, right? Because price did break the first support, right? It broke the first support, but it did not break the trend line that we highlighted, and because of that, we didn't go bearish, right? That's an important consideration when you're taking such trades. Okay, for dollar CAD, right? I'm still be watching this trend line, right? And this nice little bit of a trend line. It looks like it might have crossed the cloud. Is not that great, right? Yeah, the cloud is not that great. Probably wait for price to break the trend line. Remember, if it manages to hold, the thing that you need to take note of, right, is that trend line is constantly rising, right? So there'll probably come a time where it's being squeezed over here. Yeah, but we should be able to see, if it closes below the trend line, a drop, on a drop to 1.3227. Okay. However, what I'm expecting on oil, right? What I'm expecting on oil is that I'm expecting oil to drop. Right, so what I like to do, indicator, correlation coefficient, right, and we're gonna look at dollar CAD. I missed it, sorry. Correlation coefficient. I'm going to take a look at dollar CAD, right? Close off stochastic. So most of the time there's a little bit of a negative. Is there a way I can create a highlight? No, I can't. Right, most of the time there's a negative correlation between dollar CAD and oil. Right, as you can see over here, majority of the time, right, price is below is in the negative region. Is less of the times is in the positive region. Most of the time is in the negative region, right? Meaning that if oil was to go down, dollar CAD were to go up. Okay, so what we're expecting on dollar CAD, right, is that if dollar CAD were to break out a bearish move, right, then this WTI, we should be able to see it rise all the way up to here. Okay, however, personally for me, right, I feel that it's very difficult for oil, right, to break above this 81.71 level. I'm still expecting a reversal minimally to cover the gap, right? There's a very, very big gap over here. We should minimally be able to see our oil drop and fill up the gap a bit, okay? As you can see over here, right? That is my view on oil, okay? NASDAQ, as Rick Joey has mentioned, requested, right? NASDAQ, we were calling for a move, right? If you remember last week, to wait for the pullback, right? I think I did NASDAQ towards the end of the, NASDAQ. As you can see, last week on the 2nd of April, right, it did break out from the 129.05 level. We are calling for a pullback to the 129.05 for it to continue rising. Okay, so since then, what has happened? Right, since then, what has happened is that NASDAQ has made a pullback to the 129.05 level. It has started to bounce from that level, right? So I'm not kidding, right? we forecasted the pullback and we forecasted the bounce. It has pulled back, it has bounced quite nicely, right? So we should be able to see with a little bit of bullish momentum. I don't think there's much of Ichimoku cloud. You can see the support over here, but we should hopefully be seeing prices kind of make a push up to our first resistance at 13659. Across the indices that we're looking at, NASDAQ has the clearest movement, right, compared to the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones, right? Dow Jones is the least, is pretty tough, right? US 500 is still okay, right? We were forecasting for a bounce on the US 500 if you remember last week. I mean, on the DX, where's not DXY? S&P 500. Let me just take a look at it. Do I have it somewhere here? NASDAQ. Yeah, S&P 500, as you can see over here, right? Thank you. Right, so we were forecasting for a bounce on the S&P 500, a pullback to the 4067 level, for it to bounce up, right? As you can see, right? I'm not kidding, right? And what has happened since then is that it has made a pullback to the 4067 level, as you can see, right? Pullback to the 4067 level, and it has started to bounce a bit already, right? So we should be able to see price continue to fill up the gap towards the 4171 level for this week. This is in line, right? This is in line with what we're expecting on NASDAQ, right? If we're expecting strength on NASDAQ, right, naturally, we can be expecting the same, like this kind of correlated movement, right? The S&P, right, NASDAQ are correlation, positively correlated. If you don't believe me, right, come on indicator, look at correlation coefficient again, right? I'm gonna look at the NASDAQ. Same thing in NASDAQ. Probably one that I can let's use the E-mini. Yeah, E-mini. Okay. You'll notice that most of the time, correlation matrix. Most of the time, right, it has near 1.0 perfect positive correlation, right? The NASDAQ and the S&P 500, right? So if we're expecting bullishness on the S&P 500, we should be expecting bullishness on the NASDAQ, right? So this would be one of the clearer moves that we expect for the week, bullish strengthening of the US indices. Okay, I'm going to remove the correlation over here, right? And lastly, we like to look at DAX. DAX for me is back at a major resistance level, right? Thank you very much, Rick. Thank you. Right. So yeah, I tend to be pretty accurate for indices too, right? It's not by, it just seems to happen to be the case. I have no idea why, right? But DAX, I think last week we were highlighting the reversal from here, right? That this level needs to be broken before price can rise any further, right? Let's take a look at what happened last week for DAX. When they covered the DAX, actually, they covered the NASDAQ. Yeah, see, price was right up at the first resistance level, as you can see over here. Oh, where's my view? Yeah, price was right up at this level of first resistance, right? So I highlighted this as a big first resistance to look out for. Price needs to break this level to trigger a move up for DAX, right? It is right back up at this level, right? As you can see over here. And what is very nice is that from last week, it failed to break past that level. So we were correct in highlighting the resistance level. If price does break up, we can see a move up over here. Now, in terms of correlation, right, I guess one thing that we want to look out for, right? Okay, yeah, let's just go with the US 500, right? You'll notice that the correlation between the DAX, right, and the S&P 500, all right, tends to be a pretty positive correlation, right? Most of the time it's above 1. It's in the positive region. Means they tend to be positively correlated to a certain extent, not as strong, right, as US 500 and the NASDAQ. But if we see this movement, price really start to bounce, because it's starting to bounce from this nice level, we should be able to see DAX rise above this level. So for those of you guys who are bearish on DAX, right, I will be very wary of this. I'm not so confident it's going to reverse from here, right? I'm a little bit more confident that this resistance will finally be broken to see the move up towards the second resistance, right? So we should ideally be seeing a push up over here. Okay, right, so I did cover quite a number of the major ones that we want to look at. Last one is gold, right? So for gold, what we're going to look at for this week, right, definitely finally broke a very key level, right? Gold, we should be expecting prices to rise up very nicely to the first resistance level of 2070. It has broken the 2000 level, right? Finally, right? We were very accurate in forecasting the reversal on the 2000 level, right? I'm not sure what we were forecasting for here, but it looks a little bit hard to see, right? But if you're into Elliott wave structure, right, we could see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Profit target, let me just check, 61.8 is perfect, right? So what I mean by that is that the wave 5 target tends to be from 1 to 3 down to 4, 61.8 projection, right? So anywhere from here to here, you should see a 61.8 projection up here. So for gold, we should be able to see a nice little rally, right? A nice little rally towards our first resistance of 2070. Okay, so it has broken a key resistance level, support turns resistance, right? So this is a nice pullback level. The 2000 level is a nice pullback level for us to take a note of. Okay, the 2000 level, very nice pullback level to play the move up towards 2070. Okay, guys. Now, what I'd like to request from you guys is that so we're trying to collect, or I'm trying to collect a little bit of feedback on this pre-market analysis webinars, right? If you can, right, help me leave a thumbs up, right, and perhaps if you don't mind, right, could you if I could trouble you guys to leave a little bit of a feedback, what you perhaps whether what you liked about it or what you didn't like about it, right? Please share it in the comment section, right? And of course, whether you find this 5-star, 1-star or 5-star kind of analysis, let me know too. Right, I'm always trying to improve the analysis that I provide you guys, right? So if you want me to tweak around a little bit, right, I think it might be from next week onwards, we'll probably be able to change the timing to be 1 hour earlier, right? Because some of you guys did request for it might suit your timetable a little bit better if it's a little bit earlier, right? I'm trying to provide a little bit more actionable analysis now. So notice I'm using a little bit more of the arrows, right, to give you guys an idea on where the markets are heading, could potentially head, of course, with all disclaimers intact, right? So please let me know, right, how you find the pre-market analysis webinar so far, right? Which areas, what you want to be seeing more of, what you like so far, right? And I'll take all that feedback, right? Discuss it with IC markets and see how we can better, what's the word for it? Better provide you guys, with good stuff, right? Thank you, Royan, right? I didn't know you could send that emoji, the emoji over here, right? The star emoji, right? I see a question from Peter, potential entry for gold, right? So the thing about potential entry for gold, right, you probably go into the H4 time frame. You probably go into H4 time frame. This would be the level I'm looking at, right? It looks like price might have did a little bit of a bounce already, but 2000 level would be the level for me to kind of my entry level to take a look at, right? Thank you guys. Thank you for thank you for the 5-star reviews, right? It's really encouraging, right? Thank you very much, guys. Right? Yeah, but for gold, what I'll be looking at probably 2000 level. You can see it's a very nice pullback level, right? Multiple price rejections from this level previously, right? Finally a pullback, seeing a little bit of a bounce, right? If you can, you start to scale in because price might not come down to the 2000 level again, right? So please take a look out for that. Okay, yeah, but that's it for me, guys. I believe today's session might be done by Keaton, might be done by me, right? Might be done by Peggy. We have another live market analysis 12 hours, 11 and a half hours from now. So keep a lookout for that. All right, guys. Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Osama. Thank you, Marandera. Right, Moss. We got Naive, we got Norbert, right? Milu, Marianne, right? Thank you very much, Rick. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Thank you, Osama. Right, I'm glad you guys enjoyed today's session. Right, hopefully continue our pretty good streak of getting really accurate forecasts. Right, a lot of things that we're expecting this week. Weakness on DXY to drive a lot of the big movements we're looking at. Right, right. Thank you very much, guys. This is music to my ears. It's the best way to start the week. All right, I enjoy having you guys. Right, I'm gonna get some sleep now. Right, I'll see you guys around. Right, I'll see you guys around in the in the webinars and stuff. Right, stay safe, trade safe. Right, I'll update you guys. Keep a lookout whether we update the webinar timing to be 1 hour earlier. Right, but yeah, have a great Easter Monday wherever you guys are, right? Or however you guys are celebrating it. Stay safe, trade safe. Peace out, guys. Right, I'll catch you guys next round. Bye bye.